Stay up on the latest this hurricane season. Please subscribe for future updates. Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the Weather Nerds YouTube channel. I'm your personal weatherman, Greg Majeski, here with an update on still Tropical Storm Ernesto, but it is expected to become a hurricane later today, and also have a couple of updates to give you here on the track of the storm. Now, before we get started, if you've not yet subscribed to the channel, please consider just hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you're alerted on future content, and hey, give me a thumbs up. Tell me what you think of this report. So here's the latest satellite imagery. Here's the center of circulation. Looks like it's just to the west of this track line here, but still holding top winds at about 70 miles per hour. Still getting some very torrential rains across the island of Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands. I'm seeing winds up here to 32, 43 mile per hour winds. So still got some tropical storm gusts in here as this is raking the island. In fact, they've had a lot of heavy rains there across Puerto Rico as expected. Mudslides could be a problem. In fact, real quickly, let me go ahead and switch over to the look at the totals here and kind of look at some of the storm totals on here, and I can kind of highlight a few of these here for you, just to kind of give you an idea of the rainfall amount. Some of these island higher amounts, upwards of 7 inches. That's thanks to some of the orographic lifting out there, and I think they may finish up here with maybe upwards of, say, 10 inches of rain before it's all said and done, but a lot of the heavy rains, obviously, east of the island over the open seas of the Caribbean. All right, so let's go back here to the radar once again, as we're going to see this thing slowly but surely start to pull away. And that's some good news there. Now, we have had a couple of changes here in the track I do want to highlight here as we go through this report. The good news is we're going to see things begin to improve very nicely out in here for the islands. That was kind of a bad beach day yesterday. Things looking better out here across the British West Indies as expected. And a lot of these areas here are getting sunshine back in there. Still got some rain there falling there at St. John, but things will be improving here across the islands for today. Now, of course, this is our hot zone. We're talking about August. We're now on the 14th. We're getting closer and closer to the peak of the hurricane season, and not unusual for these folks to see tropical activity to be coming this way. Looking at this infrared satellite imagery here, we still kind of got a couple blobs of different thunderstorm clusters here. We haven't got a true, what you call, central dense overcast yet with this system. But again, I think that will change pretty rapidly here in the next 24 hours or so as things changes. So let's go ahead and take a different perspective. We're going a little bit closer here as we'll start to see the visible imagery come in here. Still looking at a pretty good outflow here. You can see it pretty well. Still been finding a little bit of dry air here on the western side of the system, but still a fairly healthy looking, fairly average size tropical system here. But again, expecting this to become a hurricane probably by the 11 o'clock advisory. I think we'll probably be dealing with a hurricane at that time. Now, the one change that did happen overnight, and I was hitting this during my live broadcast yesterday, as I did think this would become a major hurricane. It looks like now the Hurricane Center is coming on board, making this a major hurricane by the time we head into Friday here, and weaken it slightly as it gets pretty close to the island of Bermuda. So Bermuda, I mean, I don't even remember the last time it actually took a direct hit from a hurricane. They've had a couple of close calls, but this is going to get pretty close. Now, the one change that has happened here, the official track still kind of takes it up this way, but there's been a couple of models that have been sneaking this thing a little bit further to the west. And there's a reason for this is that we're waiting for a trough to come back up that's going to kind of kick this thing out, may actually pull the hurricane and bring it back and wobble it back to the west. You kind of see this little curve here. And the European model and a couple of models are kind of hitting this thing coming a little bit closer to the coastline. So the rough surf in the northeast could be a big deal here. And depending on how far west it gets, maybe some of the outer effects of this storm could be impacted across portions of New England. We'll just have to watch that very closely. The strength forecast, still looking at a Category 3 storm here, coming into development. Again, that's winds greater than 115 miles per hour, and then it weakens off as we go through time, as maybe the environment not quite as conducive here. I think it's a little bit aggressive with a decline there, but we'll see how it works out. Now, this particular model here is kind of hitting what the European is looking at. It's definitely shifted a little bit further to the west here as it develops. And this pressure not falling nearly as much as it was showing yesterday. I think yesterday it was going down about 938. Now I think the lowest pressure I see here is about 948. So a little bit weaker than what it was showing yesterday's model run. But notice as it gets to the end of the run here, it wobbles this way, then it kind of wobbles back, and it's not too far off the coast there, moving up into areas of Newfoundland up there into Canada. So going to have to watch that very closely. I want to shift over and watch the European model as well. This is the European model here. I want to go ahead and illustrate a little bit on what this thing's going to do. So let me go ahead and pull myself back out there. Hello, everybody. And let's go ahead and talk about this a little bit. Again, we got our Azores high, Bermuda high slash sitting way off toward the west. You got this weakness in here. That's what's kind of helping to draw the system to the north, but it's going to be pulling on off as we go in through the next several days or so. So let's go ahead and bring this thing forward. On the timeline there in the upper right-hand corner, again, watch this thing as it's pulling to the north. We're going to be watching this feature over the Great Lakes. So this is what we're going to be watching coming in from the west, okay? And this is going to tug on the storm a little bit and kind of bring it back a little bit in this direction. It's just a question of how much are we going to get a tug there from that developing trough that's going to be coming in from the west. So watch again as we go forward here to this upcoming weekend. As that gets closer to it, it starts to pull the system a little bit further to the west. So there's definitely kind of a northwesterly direction here as it gets closer to this. And then it makes the turn and it gets very close to what that previous hurricane model was showing you there, kind of getting very close to the Newfoundland coast there as a pretty strong hurricane at this point. I don't think it'll be a major hurricane. It'll probably weaken a little bit. Obviously, the water's not quite as warm this far north. And then it gets caught up in that trough, and then it cuts off. But it's definitely coming across the maritime of Canada at that time and gets thrown off. And then you notice that big high and its ridge starts to replace it and starts moving back toward the west. So this high pressure ridge, which has been sitting over the Azores here, is going to start to shift back this way. And then it looks like we got something out here we got to watch where the pressure falls out here across the intertropical convergence zone, which could be our next named system that could come into development beyond once we get Ernesto out of here. I'll take this forward. It looks like a couple of waves coming off there. We got a couple of them to watch here as we go out to the 10 days. So you got one about halfway through and then another one coming off the coast. A couple of areas to watch closely as we go toward the end of the month. Again, going to the end of the hurricane season, things are going to be getting hot and heavy to say the least. All right, the other reason why we're going to see improvement out there is going to be the fact that the Saharan dust layer is going to finally be weakening here again. Let me go ahead and loop this through here once again. This is the latest model here. Notice how thick it was out there on the beginning of this model run, but as it goes through this upcoming weekend, really start seeing less and less of it out in the Caribbean. That Saharan dust, as I've mentioned in previous reports, is a bit of a kryptonite. It does weaken these tropical waves, so we're going to see less of it as we head toward the 23rd and 24th of August. So things will begin to improve out there as we go over the next 7 to 10 days. That's going to allow these tropical waves a better chance of development. Now, one thing that the Global Tropics Hazards Outlook has picked up on is the fact that we are expecting things to increase in activity. Look for the 21st to the 27th. You're looking at about a 40% chance of development there. And then you look beyond that going into the first week of September, showing about a 60% chance of development there. So we're looking at things finally starting to heat up out in the tropics, and things are going to be quite busy. The peak of the hurricane season officially is on September the 10th. You get about 2/3 of your activity between August the 20th and October 10th. So things are really going to be picking up here as we head toward the peak of the hurricane season. And yours truly is going to stay on top of this the entire way. And I would love to be one of your choices. There's a lot of choices out there in the YouTube universe, and I'd love to be one of your choices here for this weather information. I'll give it to you straight, and I'm not going to play hype boy on every system, but I do want to keep you updated on the latest out in the tropics. So if you'd like to be part of the Weather Nerds family, all you got to do is please hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you're alerted on future content. And if you liked what you see with this report and you'd like to see some things, please leave a comment down below. As always, I do appreciate it. All right, that's it for now. You guys take it easy. We'll see you in the next update. Until then, be good, stay safe, and we'll see you next time. Bye, guys.